Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to explain two key concepts in research with the use of examples. So in today's video, I will explain what are causal inferences and how does causal inferences lead to ex post facto fallacy. And I will give you a few different examples so you can understand it better. Let's get started. So causal inferences are conclusions that imply that one or more variables brought about the observed state of another variable. For example, let us suppose that you enter a classroom and observe that a teacher appears to be angry. Also suppose you learn later that a child has been misbehaving. You might be tempted to conclude that the teacher is angry now because the child misbehaved a few moments ago. You might be correct, but then again, perhaps not. In either event, this is an example of ex post facto or after the fact reasoning. Ex post facto conclusions are potential problems in research or low constraint research. The fact that two variables are related is not sufficient to infer that variable A causes variable B. Now in the school example that I just discussed, the child's misbehavior might have had nothing to do with the teacher's anger. Perhaps the teacher was angry with a colleague after a fight with a colleague, or the teacher was upset because the teacher's boss shouted at him or her, or that the teacher might have been having some issues at home. Without more information, we cannot rule out that the possibility. It is also possible that the teacher's anger stimulated the child's misbehavior and not the other way around. It is tempting to conclude that one event caused the other, but low constraint research does not provide adequate information to justify such causal inferences. Hence, an ex post facto fallacy occurs when we draw unwarranted causal conclusions from the observation of a contingent relationship. For example, if you say hard drug users all smoked marijuana before turning to hard drugs, therefore marijuana use leads to hard drug addiction. The logical fallacy is obvious, whereas it may also seem quite reasonable. This assertion may be familiar and you may accept it without much thought. However, the ex post facto data is insufficient to establish the causal statement that you present here. Some in fact may be true, but it will take better controlled research to know that. Another example would be alcoholics started with beer and wine, therefore drinking beer and wine leads to alcoholism. Now here you can see that although it may make sense to you, you have to carry out a controlled research where you control for the confounding variables that may lead to alcoholism before you can infer that drinking beer and wine leads to alcoholism. And similarly, the last example for ex post facto fallacy is that aggressive children watch a great deal of television and therefore watching a great deal of television leads to aggressive behavior in children. Now you can see with these examples, you cannot have confidence in any causal inferences that you may be tempted to draw. You need to treat such inferences as speculative hypotheses to be tested with further research. So I hope you guys understood the meaning of causal inferences and how it can lead to ex post facto reasoning and an ex post facto fallacy or fallacy, however you want to pronounce it. So thank you for watching today's video, guys. Like I always say, I like to keep these videos short because my students tell me that they would prefer to watch shorter videos which are less than 10 minutes in length. Otherwise it gets boring for them. But I look forward to your feedback and comments, and I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye for now.